reading from Luke chapter 19, beginning at verse 1. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through it. A man was there named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd he could not, because he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him, because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, "He has gone to be the guest of one who is a sinner." Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much." Then Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek out and to save the lost."
Gee, some years ago I saw a film where Jesus was portrayed with a fantastic sense of humour, and I often think of this passage in that. Here's this self-important little man who is sort of blown out of the tree, literally blown out of the tree by Jesus' question, you know, "Come on, I need to come and see you." And Zacchaeus, the rich tax collector, cheating people, presumably, or not, or at least creaming plenty of money off them, hated by everybody, and here he is, most important.
And I can just imagine this picture of the crowd and all these tall people, and Zacchaeus isn't able to get a look in because he's so short. And of course the people gathered don't think much of him.
Not at all.
And so they won't let him get a look at all.
And he is the one. What strikes me, 2 things strike me about Zacchaeus in this passage that I think are worth exploring a little bit more. One is the way that he changes when Jesus recognises him. I'm sure Zacchaeus had no intention of being recognised.
No, I think he just wanted to, it says here, just to see who Jesus was.
Peep from a safe distance. And yet when the focus is, the spotlight is put on him, he responds immediately. And I think that's a real conversion experience, to use the language that may be familiar to people here. And the other thing is the generosity of his response to Jesus. Half my possessions, if I've defrauded anyone, I'll repay. It's not quite as generous actually as it sounds, because he was doing what was commanded by the law. Although in the law it's quite interesting, because Exodus says if you steal a sheep you've got to pay back 4 sheep, if you steal an oxen you pay back 5 oxen. But some of the other parts of the Pentateuch in the Old Testament, it's actually you must give 1/5 more than what you stole. So there's a bit of dispute there, but I think there's a wonderful generosity here that is there.
And certainly his generosity comes very easily. As soon as he gets down from the tree, the people are grumbling. They're grumbling because they don't think Jesus should give this man the time of day. And immediately when he gets down, he says, "Look, half of my possessions I will give to the poor." So immediately that conversion has taken place.
And what a change to how we often are. I mean, they're the people are there, aren't they, grumbling away. But just in the news recently, we've been following people who have been effectively forced to make an apology, but it was a grudging apology.
Only made because of pressure.
Only made because of pressure, because I'm going to lose my job, or because this, that, or the other thing. Yet here he is, okay, yes, I recognise that I've done wrong, put it right immediately, no excuses. He's not saying, well, I'm actually entitled to that because I'm the tax collector. I've done wrong, I'll make it right. Brilliant.
And in a way, Zacchaeus perhaps can be seen as a symbol, or, you know, Jesus always did go out of his way to seek out the lost and or the outcasts, or those who society at the time didn't regard as chosen or worthy. So he, in a way, is an example of the people that Jesus went out of his way to.
But also quite interesting example of that in Luke, because Luke is usually thought of somebody who really championed the poor, the widow, the orphan, the real outcast. I mean, here's a wealthy man who is also an outcast, and therefore also poor and lost.
this is always one of the favourite stories at our children's worship centre.
Yeah.
I think because there's so much drama caught up, and children can imagine this crowd and this little man. You know, children themselves can imagine this little man struggling to see over a crowd. So we have this wonderful figure that we use in our worship centre of little Zacchaeus, and when we tell the story, we have him bobbing around trying to see, and then here's the sycamore tree, and he jumps up and gets his vantage point from the top.
Brilliant.
And the children just love seeing the drama as well as listening to it.
Brilliant. So conversion, generosity,
It's a
looking
good
after
story.
the poor. Great.